African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC-3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation as of October 10, 2025. In response to terrorist attacks by the Kiev regime on civilian facilities on Russian territory last night, the armed forces of the Russian Federation delivered a massive strike with long-range precision weapons of ground and air-based platforms, including hypersonic aeroballistic Kinzhal missiles, as well as strike unmanned aerial vehicles on energy infrastructure facilities that supported the operation of enterprises of the Ukrainian military-industrial complex. The strike objectives have been achieved. All designated targets were hit. In addition, during the week, a massive and 6 group strikes were delivered with precision weapons and unmanned aerial vehicles, resulting in damage to military industry enterprises and their supporting energy facilities in Ukraine, railway and maritime infrastructure used for transporting weapons and military equipment of the armed forces of Ukraine, fuel depots, storage and launch preparation sites for unmanned aerial vehicles, as well as temporary deployment points of Ukrainian armed formations, nationalists, and foreign mercenaries. Units of the North Troop Group inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of 4 mechanized, Ranger, Airborne Assault Brigades, an assault regiment of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and 2 territorial defense brigades. In the Kharkiv direction, as a result of active actions, the settlement of Otradnoy in the Kharkiv region was liberated. Damage was inflicted on formations of 2 mechanized, motorized infantry brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and 3 territorial defense brigades. Over the week, in the area of responsibility of the North Troop Group, enemy losses amounted to more than 1,355 servicemen, 2 tanks, 12 combat armored vehicles, 63 cars, and 21 field artillery guns. 2 launchers of the HIMARS multiple launch rocket system and a launcher of the US-made MLRS multiple launch rocket system were destroyed, along with 5 counter-battery and electronic warfare stations, and 45 ammunition and material depots. Units of the West Troop Group inflicted damage on formations of 6 mechanized, airmobile, assault brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 2 territorial defense brigades, and a National Guard brigade. The enemy lost over 1,575 servicemen, 33 combat armored vehicles, including 10 of foreign manufacture, 141 cars, and 10 field artillery guns, including 4 produced by NATO countries. 43 ammunition depots and 36 electronic warfare and counter-battery stations were destroyed. As a result of decisive actions by the units of the Southern Group of Forces, the settlements of Kuzmanovka and Fedorovka in the Donetsk People's Republic have been liberated. The destruction of Ukrainian armed formations south of the Kleban-Byk Reservoir in the Donetsk People's Republic has been completed. Defeat was inflicted on the personnel and equipment of 5 mechanized, motorized infantry, airmobile, assault, mountain assault brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a territorial defense brigade, and a National Guard brigade. Over the week, losses of Ukrainian armed formations in this direction amounted to up to 1,115 servicemen, 3 tanks, including a German-made Leopard tank, 25 combat armored vehicles, of which 5 are of Western production, 102 vehicles, and 18 field artillery guns. 9 electronic warfare and counter-battery stations, 23 ammunition, fuel, and material supply depots were destroyed. Units of the Center Group of Forces continue active offensive operations in the territory of the Donetsk People's Republic and Dnipropetrovsk region. Defeat was inflicted on formations of 7 mechanized, 2 Ranger, Airborne Assault, 3 Airborne Assault Brigades, 3 assault regiments of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 2 Marine Brigades, a Territorial Defense Brigade, and 3 National Guard Brigades. The enemy lost more than 3,120 servicemen, 4 tanks, 13 combat armored vehicles, 22 vehicles, 12 artillery guns, and 3 electronic warfare stations. Over the past week, units of the East Group of Forces liberated the settlements of Novovasilivsk and Novoryarovka in the Zaporizhia region. They inflicted defeat on personnel and equipment of 2 mechanized brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Marine Brigade, a Territorial Defense Brigade, and a National Guard Brigade. Enemy losses in this direction amounted to over 2,360 servicemen, 3 tanks, 12 combat armored vehicles, 108 vehicles, 8 field artillery guns, 7 electronic warfare and counter-battery stations. Units of the Dnipro Group of Forces inflicted defeat on formations of 2 mechanized, mountain assault brigades, a coastal defense brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and 2 territorial defense brigades. The Armed Forces of Ukraine lost up to 445 servicemen, 34 vehicles, and 6 artillery guns. 29 electronic warfare and counter-battery stations, 8 ammunition and material supply depots were destroyed. Over the week, air defense means shot down 18 guided aerial bombs, 30 reactive projectiles of the U.S.-made Mars multiple launch rocket system, a long-range guided missile Neptune, as well as 1,719 fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the start of the special military operation, destroyed 667 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 89,433 unmanned aerial vehicles, 631 surface-to-air missile systems, 25,446 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,598 multiple launch rocket system combat vehicles, 30,348 field artillery guns and mortars, 43,620 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.